Hi, everybody. Today is the finale of Mugshot March. And for this very special occasion, I brought my good friend Karen Thomas on to talk with us today to analyze our last mugshot. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Kimberly. How are you?
Before we start, I want to introduce Karen to you and tell you a little bit about her. She is the owner of Design X LLC. Karen, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So, as Kimberly said, my name is Karen Thomas. I do go by KT. I am a business professional, but I also have my own business, Design X LLC. Design X LLC actually is two different companies. We have one side of the company that focuses on coaching, helping individuals dig deeper to bring their dreams to life. Isn't that a sweet experience? And speaking of sweet, the other arm of the business is Sweet Artisan Creations, where I actually am a sugar artist, bringing all kinds of sweet things to life. So, as you can see, both arms of my business, we deal in what's sweet.
Hey T, I want to show a picture of some of your sweet creations.
Oh my goodness. Yes, yes. Can I tell
These,
you, I had so much fun. I've been commissioned by many different authors to turn their books into cookies, and I actually surprised Kimberly with turning her own books into works of sugar. Those were yummy, delicious cookies with your book covers.
I cannot even tell you guys. This is like one of the nicest things anybody has ever given me. It was so sweet. And Katie made these. They have my book covers on them. It's amazing. So sorry, Katie, I didn't mean to just spring that on you, but I wanted to
I
show some of
know.
the cool things
That's
that you
totally
do.
okay. Totally okay.
KT, one reason I wanted to bring you on today is because of today's mugshot recipient, luminary, however we want to phrase it. I believe she was on the wrong career path. And I thought with your expertise as a coach, we could look at it from that lens. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
All right.
Do it.
This is Bertha Reid.
Mhm.
And she was a widow, or at least she claimed to be a widow, but she was rumored to be a divorcee, which at the time was, I guess, a big enough deal to get printed in the newspaper. And this mugshot was taken in 1927, but our story begins in June of 1924. And life was pretty good for Mrs. Reed then, for Bertha. She was living in an apartment building that she owned on Stanton Street. And it was specifically 818 Stanton Street, which is right by Golden Gate Park. So you know the neighborhood, even if that street might not be totally familiar, but it was and is a lovely area.
Yes.
And she was fortunate enough, she had tenants for her building, and she was also working as a telephone operator at the time. So you remember like in those old movies where they're like by the switchboard and
Yes.
putting calls through. She was one of those people. And her plan, she wasn't making all this money just to blow it on big shopping sprees. Her plan was that she had a fiance and he was a businessman and he lived in Long Beach. So she wanted to save up all of her money and then go marry him and have a beautiful life together in Long Beach, California. But then disaster struck one night in June 1924. So, do you see these buildings here?
Ooh, yes, I do.
Okay. So, this is 814, this is 816, and this is 820. So, 818 Stanton Street is missing. So, I'm assuming it was probably because of what our friend did, what Bertha did.
Really?
Basically, what happened was on the night of Saturday, June 21st, 818 Stanton Street went up in flames. Poof. Bertha had been in the house when the fire started, and she managed to warn the neighbors before she escaped to safety herself.
Okay.
Right away, though, there were some suspicions. particularly by the police and by everybody else, really. One of the headlines said, like, lives, entire blocks menaced by flames. But like, I mean, even if you've never been to San Francisco, and I know we both have, but like, even if you've never been there, like if one of those houses goes up, there's a pretty good chance a lot of them could go up, a whole block. This happens
Absolutely,
all the
because
time.
they're right next to one another. They're like
Uh,
almost, sandwich. It's like looking at sandwiches.
yeah. Anytime there's fire involved, like people get very upset, especially living so close together like that, right?
Absolutely.
So Bertha initially said that the flames awakened her and she was barely able to get out. Okay. So there were rumors right away that Bertha was behind this.
Oh, wow. Mm.
Yes. So these were, I think this one's from the Chronicle, San Francisco Chronicle. These were all within a couple days of each other, though. And apparently she admitted it right away. Really, her story cracked almost immediately under like even light questioning, I think could have gotten that. Because police, like even today, they can lie to you during an interrogation. You know that, right?
Yeah, they can push your buttons, they go as close to the line as possible without implicating that they have led you down a road. But yeah, like they put pressure on her. And I will tell you, women back in that day and age, they were not necessarily confrontational or found themselves in a lot of situations like this that may come across as confrontational. But that energy that I could see, she absolutely felt a certain type of way under pressure like that. I mean, your house burns down, all the kinds of things are going through your mind. You're getting pressured. You're going to say just about anything.
That's actually a really good point. I hadn't thought about it like that, that how she was feeling, because it seems apparent she's guilty. But even if she wasn't guilty, she probably would have felt very like anybody would feel nervous if they're being questioned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All kinds of wild things were probably going through her head.
Back then, there were even less regulations around what police could do during an interrogation. So
I'm
who
sure there
knows?
were none. I'm
Probably
sure there
not
were none.
actually.
They probably said anything to get a conviction early
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
admission of guilt when maybe you were not guilty.
Yeah, maybe you could be implicated in something else that you didn't even know, right?
Exactly.
Um, Lying wasn't necessary in this case because Bertha completely gave herself away. She was spotted by her neighbors right before the fire, carefully carrying out this large cut glass dish from her apartment. And the dish was a gift from her fiance in Long Beach. After a long cross-examination about, like where have you been? What have you been doing? How do you think this fire started? Because there were some suspicious aspects to it that I'll tell you about. But the detective O'Meara pointed out to her the discrepancy of her carrying out this large ornate cut glass dish right before the fire. And it shocked her to hear that. I guess it didn't even occur to her that maybe somebody would have seen her do that. And she admitted that she had started the fire on purpose to collect $1,500 in insurance. So we're talking about 1924. How much would $1,500 be? Would have been about $29,000. So not that much.
Not that much, but $29,000 is nothing to shake your finger at. I mean, that's still a good amount of money. It's not like it's $1,000. So, yeah, I think I would have been startled too to just think, look at this priceless piece that cost so much money that I'm taking the time to save. And what do you mean? Someone actually saw me.
This is long before like ring cameras, right?
Yeah, totally. There was clearly a peeping Tom.
Well, I mean, it's not that much money, but it's still like, I mean, it's not that much money to commit a felony and potentially like send your whole block up in flames over. But I
It's
guess
not worth it.
we don't really know what the San Francisco real estate market was like back then. Like today, that property would be worth a lot of money. But
Yeah.
maybe back then it wasn't. And part of the deal was she kind of wanted to unload it So she didn't have anything tying her to San Francisco. She wanted to go down to Long Beach, right? I could see a few
Oh,
different things playing
yeah.
into that.
I could see not just nothing tying me down, but emphasis on what you said. Nothing tying me down mentally, memories.
Mm.
And one of the headlines we have here, divorcee confesses. So does that mean that that was the family home? Therefore, if I get rid of everything from my prior life, then I will be free to move forward with this new love that's given me this fantastic peace. So I'm going to let everything go. My personal belongings, my couch, my bed, my whatever have you, but not this piece.
I
Because
could see that.
maybe
I could
that
see her
piece
wanting to get rid of a
represented
lot
her
of things.
dreams. Maybe that piece represented her future dreams or what her future was going to be all about.
At least that's what she wanted it to be, right?
Yeah, that's what she wanted.
She said that she was curling her hair and heating the iron on the coal oil heater. Okay. The coal oil smells bad. Suddenly, the coal oil flamed up, and that seemed to ignite in action sinister, desperate thoughts she had entertained for several weeks.
Oh, so she had been thinking about this. What if, or maybe fantasizing about this, and here comes opportunity.
Yeah, it was almost like
Or
she had
not.
been thinking, how do I get rid of everything? And then how do I get down there to be with him? But maybe she didn't have a specific plan. But there are some things that I'm going to tell you that she included in her confession that I think are going to color our perceptions a little bit. So she confessed to the police that she collected some of her intimate keepsakes and clothing, and also the valuables of two of her tenants, Alfred McClintock and Robert Hyson, wrapped them in bedding and placed them outside the door. Then she saturated her corset in coal oil, lighted it, set it on fire in a closet. Then she set a fire in the front curtains and another on the bureau of her tenant's apartment. So I have to pause there and just say, like, sorry, what an idiot, though. Like, if you're going to try to commit arson, you can't have three separate fires in the same building all popping up at once.
Oh, she was going to make sure that that baby was going to burn.
Okay, mission accomplished, but
Mission accomplished.
also easy to tell that she did something, that somebody did something there, right?
Absolutely. I'm just curious though, to have tenants. So, did she also think through a way to tell her tenants to not be home that particular day?
Oh, that's a good question. And they never got to that. But
Ooh.
they weren't there. It was Saturday, what was it, like around 11 o'clock or something like that?
Mhm.
Wait, what time was it? Because that's important. On the
Yeah, I was going
evening
to ask
of,
you
because
what
why is she
time?
curling her hair at night, you know?
Yeah, so arguably, back in that time, there were a lot of different nightclubs. Maybe there was a nightclub scene, and she was up curling her hair because maybe she was going to go out that evening. I mean, that sounds like a great alibi.
Wait a minute. Let's take another look at her. I want to look at her again while we're talking about how she looks. I think we need to see her face.
Oh yeah, she put some curls in her hair.
Okay,
And
it is curled.
yeah, so her hair is curled, right? And
Yeah.
so I could see it, I'm going to curl my hair because I'm going out for the evening, but there were just too many mistakes, too many mistakes.
And then she had these repressed thoughts and sinister, desperate thoughts, and they just overcame her all of a sudden. Okay, okay. Well, we'll stick with this for the time being. Bertha confessed that she had a son named Howard and another son who was married and lived in Portland. Um, and her son Howard still lived in Gustine, and that's where she had formerly resided. And she admitted something else, Katie, at this point. She admitted that she had owned some apartment buildings in Gustine. And she had collected $1,000 insurance when they had burned down. So it's just weird how this happened to her twice, right? But she said that was completely an accident, nothing to do with anything. It just so happened that she had managed apartment buildings there too, and that they also had burned down.
So wait, she had other properties, they burnt down too,
Hmm.
and we just have this that just happened to burn as well.
It just happened, Katie. Some things just happen.
Yeah, right.
Mhm. Well, I mean, that's what she did, and she was taken to the city prison in a hysterical condition. She was booked on a charge of second-degree arson, and she found herself residing ingloriously in a cell due to her inability to raise bail. So this is pretty rotten, right? Like, actually, I have some sympathy for her here. She's kind of like got her life all together, and then all of a sudden, her home is burned down through her own hands. Like she's done it herself, but she finds herself just sitting in a prison cell, or like in a jail cell. Like it's kind of awful.
That
Um,
wasn't part of her plan.
Definitely not part of her plan. I think she would have assumed like there would have been somebody to like sweep. Maybe her fiance would have just happened to be riding by, sweep her off her feet. She didn't seem to have like a very there wasn't like a plan to make all these fantasies a reality. So now comes the next big twist in the story. You ready? 3 days after the fire, the widow repudiated her own confession. She said, I was too excited to know what I was signing.
I'm
They put
sure.
something in front of me and I just signed it. I was flustered. I was having kind of a bad night. And I didn't know what I meant. This has nothing to do with me. I had nothing to do with that. Let's stop
Not
this for a second,
surprised.
Katie.
I am not surprised at all. I mean, think about it. This is not the first house that's caught on fire, right? And she's just used to getting away with it. So now she had to figure out, okay, with this third one, how can I get away with it? I'm sure the excitement of it all, she wasn't thinking clearly and she said all kinds of things, but she's going to cause some confusion and work that to her advantage.
I guess so. And also like I can think of times when I've said things that aren't true, maybe confessed to a few felonies that I haven't done. And it's just one of those things that you just rattle off sometimes, right? Right? Like you just get things mixed up in your mind, right? Yeah.
No, said no one ever.
So here was what she told the San Francisco Chronicle. These are her words, okay? So I want to read them to you. She repudiated her alleged confession to the police that she set fire to her three-story apartment at 818 Stanton Street. I was so excited. I didn't know what I was telling the police or what I was signing, she said yesterday at the city prison because she was still there 3 days later.
Mhm.
She explains the fire in this manner. Quote, I had been working at the Sutter Exchange all night and came home about 8 o'clock in the morning. I went to bed but could not sleep, so I decided to get up and curl my hair. I brought in some coal oil for the lamp in an ashtray. She brought in coal oil for the lamp in an
At
ashtray.
an ashtray while she was curling her hair. That
While
makes
she's curling her, like there's a lot going on. She's great at multitasking. And she poured it into the lamp for the purpose of heating her curling iron. So you see, like there's a lot of involvement here.
yeah, there's a
Um,
lot going on.
a lot is going on. When I went to light the lamp, the oil that had spilled on the bureau was ignited and it spread to the oil that had fallen on a corset that was lying on the bureau. I seized the corset. I ran with it to the closet to get a towel to smother the flames. I ran with my flaming garment, right?
Yeah, my hands are on fire now.
On
Okay.
fire. Uh, I seized the corset. I ran with it to the closet to get a towel to smother the flames, but they were already burning my hands. So I threw the corset in the closet, and the other clothing there caught on fire.
So you throw the corset into the closet. Anyone else, any logical person, even in a crazed moment, you throw it immediately on the floor away from anything else. You don't throw it into the opportunity to set the whole closet on fire.
I think that there's a good chance that she could have just thrown it in there, assuming that her other flammable things just wouldn't catch on fire. Why would they? They don't have to, do they? She's not even done yet, though. And this is already, I have to tell you, Katie, like I read a lot of these things for Mugshot March, and
Mhm.
like this is an elaborate story, but she's not done. When the blaze seemed to be beyond my control, I rushed to the rooms of two of my roomers. She calls them roomers, but they're tenants. I'm just saying
Yeah.
tenants because it's easier. Of my two tenants and bundled up their best clothing in a blanket. Her house is on fire, and she's in her tenants' apartments gathering up their best clothes, not all of them, just their best ones, right? Bundling them up in a blanket. I was in my nightgown. So here's another twist, right? I was in my nightgown, and my next thought was to save something with which to clothe myself. So I put on some of my garments and threw some into a grip, like a suitcase, I guess, and rushed out. I ran to the neighboring apartments and screamed, "My apartment's on fire." A neighbor woman turned in the alarm over her telephone. I then fainted in the hallway. The police accused me of having my bag already packed and being ready to leave. And that's not true. I was forced to leave all of my silver and valuable possessions behind me. If I had set the fire, I surely would not have run to the neighbors to spread the alarm. So that's her
A lot of
story.
questions. A lot of questions. That's an interesting story. Doesn't make any sense. Does it say by any chance what floor she lived on versus the tenants?
Oh, I do not know. I wish I knew that.
I'm so curious because it makes a difference. Did you go
Yeah, it
all the way
does.
up the stairs to rescue your tenant's stuff, or
Their
was it
best
on your
clothing.
way down? I mean, that's a lot of time. So let me see if I've got this right. Your corset, you threw it in the closet. Closet's on fire. And then you are now going to take the time to rescue your tenant's belongings. She never said, I knocked to see if they were home to get them out. No, you focused on their belongings.
But why?
But
Why
why?
would that even occur to you? Like, if you have tenants, right? And the building's on fire. Yes, go warn them. But like, why would you even think about their clothes? And she said she was in her nightgown at this point. So she's scrambling around in her nightgown.
Curling hair. We can't sleep. We're curling hair. We've got a corset on fire of all the things. We've got this whole oil that smells bad. So there really is a lot. There's a bad smell. There is confusion. And I will tell you, you could tell by looking at her mugshot, she holds her mouth and her chin so tight. That's
Oh, let's look at it again.
control.
Toot,
When
toot.
you brought it back and we were looking at her hair, I also glanced down at her mouth. Her hair, she tries to keep it up and curled, but that mouth, ooh, that mouth was tight.
Yeah, you're right. Her mouth is tight. Uh,
Yeah, look at her jawline that's there. I mean, it's a combination of, so this is her actual mugshot, right?
yes.
She's got a combination of I'm holding something back, but she's got puppy dog eyes. She's got the eyes of have sympathy with me. But that mouth is so tight, she's trying to hold everything together.
Her mouth is tight. Like her lower lip, you almost can't see, like it's not distinct like her upper lip is. Because
Yeah,
usually, like
see,
if people close their mouth really tight, it's like, you're not going to get another word out of me. Or if their lips kind of retract, it's like, I wish I hadn't said that.
yeah. And her eyes are so soft. If I was going to take a mugshot after everything that you've described, I'm not going to look like that.
Well, I mean, I would think her hair would look better. If nothing else, I would think she would have taken a lot of extra time with her hair,
I,
right?
I
Like
don't know if
it,
she had time to curl the rest of her hair, but she sure did try. She looks very presentable. She just looks too calm in this mugshot to have had all of that happen.
Well, this didn't just happen. So I'll explain. Her mugshot came later. But since we're
Oh,
talking about it, I do want to show you another view of it. The very first guest on Mugshot March was Taylor Northcutt. And I always talk about him because like I learned so much from him. And
yes.
he mentioned that in mugshots specifically, you could almost draw a line down someone's face. If I look at the left side of the screen, I'm seeing more bland. I'm seeing not much emotion coming through. But the right side of the screen, she looks alert, watchful.
I see that. And you know what else I'm seeing also? Her head seems tilted.
It is, yeah. Maybe
And
that was like a glamour girl thing, like,
the whole idea of a tilted head is when something seems interesting. When something seems interesting, we can't help but give ourselves away through gestures. It's very interesting. I don't believe that it's because of the angle. She just seems so relaxed. Do you know how much time passed between that night and then this mugshot actually
yeah,
happening?
yeah, it was almost 3 years. Because this was
Three.
taken in 1927.
She had
Oh,
so much time to think about it.
yes,
Oh my goodness. She had time to think about it. She had time to realize perhaps a new life and
she
get her whole
didn't.
stage performance ready.
Now that's a real possibility. She spent from June 1924, when this fire happened, until February 1927, when she went in. She spent all that time trying to make this not a reality. Let's
What a
see.
mugshot.
Because she repudiated her confession, the hearing got continued until July 8th. So you can start to see that this is going to get drawn out, which is probably what any defense attorney would want for her. They would want to draw it out and put more time between the crime and whenever she's tried for it. Okay, I want to show you another set of headlines that were from the time that this happened. So we can take a look at these. Do you see these two headlines?
Yes.
So these happened over a year apart. When she was indicted, she fainted because they called her an arsonist. And
Hmm.
then she really, really tried to get out of it, like that confession, that wasn't me. They were bothering me, and I was already so upset. And then that happened. But nobody bought it. She didn't get the retrial that she wanted. So Arson Woman, which is just a terrible nickname anyway, you want to go about it. She ended up losing her fight for a retrial in December 1926. So now it's over 2 years in. So let me just show you then her mugshot, her full mugshot. She went to San Quentin, and I don't know. I love mugshots so much. Like they're so interesting to me. I like the old ones best because I don't want to talk about anything that's going on currently. But these older ones, like you almost see right down to the bottom of somebody's soul, and it's at probably one of the worst points in their life. And the way they face it is always different. The way that she's facing it, I mean, what do you see there, Katie?
Oh my goodness. Well, I see that she is very stern. She thinks that she's going to get away, that this is just a matter that will, blow over. I mean, she's been free for 3 years after the fact. As far as she's concerned, I've already gotten away with this. So, how dare you even bring, she's a bit smug. She's a bit smug. And I tell you, in her eyes, that tight mouth, that tilted head, but her eyes are sending this message of course I didn't do this.
Do I look like the kind of person
I
who
look
would?
like that kind of person. I mean, really. And it's coming across as, this is a trivial matter. Like, I'm just going to take this shot because I have to take the shot. But I'm going to get away with this. You won't find me guilty. You didn't the past two times. So how could you possibly find me guilty this third time?
I can see that. Because, like, I'm looking at her mouth. Is there
Hmm.
like a hint of like a, like you can't get me?
She's almost. smiling. Like I can see there's a
Hmm.
smile behind this, like, I got away with the other two, and I'm going to get away with this one. Also, you just watch and see.
I am not as good as you at reading faces, but like I look at that and I'm like, is she being brave for the camera? Like, well, I've got to sit here and like this is gonna happen, so I'm just gonna be stoic.
Mhm.
Or is she just kind of like, you think you got me, but how about this? I'm gonna be paroled in a year and 23 days for this. It's a pretty short stay for prison, right?
Yeah.
And then she was discharged from her parole after that. She didn't have a record. So, like, San Quentin has kind of an amazing ability to, like, encapsulate a person's life in just like this much space. But
Hmm.
they would always write your prior inmate numbers, anywhere else you've been in prison. She'd never been in prison before. She'd never been in trouble before. And I couldn't find any place where she ever got in trouble again. So she might have, I'm not saying she didn't cause trouble again. I'm just saying she didn't get caught again.
She didn't
So
get caught this time, and she knows it. She didn't get caught the last couple of times, and she was just smug about it.
she learned from it.
She learned how to set places on fire one too many times and get away with it and have a really good matching story. That's what she's been learning.
I mean, yeah, that story that she came up with, and even just the way that she set the apartment building on fire, it's just annoying because it's so stupid. It's like you don't set fires in different locations accidentally, right? You can't do that. And I don't know, I just like sometimes when I hear about these crimes, I feel like more annoyed, like, why couldn't you do it in a smart way? But in her case, I don't know. Oh, I want to point out with her mugshot, this was a very short-lived, I guess, government efficiency measure. But they used to, for a very short time, in different prisons, they would do this. They would set you up in front of a mirror so they could take your profile shot and your front-facing shot at the same time. So that's what's going on there. They're not two different pictures. That's one picture.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Interesting. I never knew that. I never
yeah.
knew that. So, if you can zoom in
Hmm.
on the reflection shot,
Oh, okay.
you've got the
Let's
dead
do that.
on. That reflection shot, it's her mouth. Look at how tight. And it's really
Hmm.
in the reflection. Is she wearing a fur coat?
She's definitely wearing a fur collar.
Oh, definitely. So right there, I think more
Okay.
so than the dead on shot, you can see how tight she's holding her mouth, as if though, just keep it together. You got this. You'll be out of here in a little bit. You'll be away from this camera, and then we'll just move forward.
Her front-facing shot looks like a more neutral expression. The side one, you can see her mouth going down, like, mm. And
Yeah.
usually, if you have the asymmetrical thing going on, it usually means contempt. That's
It's really
different than
interesting.
this.
I will tell you, if you just showed me a picture, this picture, and I didn't see the number and you didn't tell me it was a mugshot, I would think it was a woman just standing in front of her mirror at home.
Huh. So you don't see any shame there. You don't see any, um, I don't know. I guess that's what I would feel, I guess, is like I would feel really ashamed.
She's too relaxed. It's too relaxed for a mugshot. It's too frivolous for a mugshot. So to walk in knowing that you've got cops around you, knowing
Hmm.
you have to go into a precinct to get the mugshot done, right?
I think
I
this one was done at
feel
the prison at San Quentin.
okay, so you're at the prison, you're actually there, and you're getting ready to take this picture. I absolutely would not look as calm and as controlled and as, oh, this is just a frivolous formality.
Well, since she had retracted her confession, as far as we know, she's still saying, no, this is all a big mistake. She might be just trying to brazen it out. Like, oh no, I didn't do that. They were three spontaneous fires that were just set at the same time in my apartment, but I had nothing to do with it. I was busy. gathering other people's possessions and then fainting in the hallway. We didn't talk about fainting in the hallway, but that's also really stupid because, like, you don't faint in the hallway if your house is on fire. Not unless people are like directly outside to like pull you out. But if you're her and you've set the place on fire, you don't faint in the hallway. That was just her dramatic flourish on the whole thing, I
I
think.
don't know. I think I would have fainted because I would have been tired. I'd have been out of breath. Okay. I'm running around, I'm doing stupid stuff. And then, oh, yeah, what about the curling iron? Well, okay, forget the curling iron, the corset, and then the closet. And then I'm running into my neighbor's. How did you even get into your neighbor's home? Do you just have a key? Doesn't this all take time? She's running around like Wee Willie Winky, running through the town, upstairs and downstairs in his nightgown. This is what she's doing. I would collapse from exhaustion.
Well, her order of things, even the order that she said she did things in, was crazy. I don't know. I feel like if I were in her exact situation and I'm like in a nightie or something, like I don't want to go around like I don't know, like I wouldn't go to like my neighbors and start grabbing their clothes before I put on clothes. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And it takes time to go through a person's closet to know what is valuable, a valuable prized possession versus what is not. Kimberly, where do you find these mugshots and these stories from? Because this one is
This one was
wild.
meant for you. This one was meant for you because I wanted to ask you if you were her. She clearly wanted to get rid of her place in San Francisco. She wanted to go be with her fiance. She wanted to marry him. She wanted to go live in Long Beach, I guess. Like, isn't there a different way she could have done it? Like, what would you have advised her if she came to you and she was like, this is what I want, and I'm thinking about burning down the apartment building that I own? You know, maybe offer her a different suggestion. Like, what would be one thing you could suggest to her?
Well, I'd actually start with a series of questions. Because burning down a house is really drastic. So, are you burning it down because you need money to start your new life? Or are you burning it down because there are just too many memories and you want to start afresh? Is that the right thing to do? Because guess what? No matter what you burn down, it's still going to be in your head. Or was it a combination of both? So I would start out with really trying to understand, hey, what's really going on? What's really at the root of all of this madness that you're thinking about? And then definitely recommend to her to, hey, you need to see someone for some psychotherapy, right? Or you definitely need to just pause and understand the consequences of your actions. Because I would have pointed out to her what's at risk is if you do the wrong thing, you're actually not going to get this life that you want at Long Beach with this new fiance. Sell the house. Sell all of your possessions. Get rid of everything and then go ahead. Start your new life. Guess what? If it's a situation with money, you're going to be able to sell that home and you'll get money from the sale. So it's a win-win. Why put yourself in a lose-lose when you can be in a win-win? And you've got a brand new person that's waiting for you to start your life. So I would have just had her refocus on what her priorities were and like, let's kind of weigh the pros and cons here, my girl, because she clearly was not thinking straight. However, I have to point out I don't know if anything I said would have changed her behavior because what's so important is that she got away with this twice. So she's already used to burning things down to get rid of the past. She's been successful twice. So locked in her head could have been, I got rid of this before. I'm just going to burn it all away. Forget Calgon take me away. She pulled out a match. Just burn it all, and that'll take me away from all of my problems.
That
So,
would have been a better marketing scheme too,
just
right?
burn it all away.
Just burn it all down, right?
No, said no one ever, nor should it be the route that anyone ever takes.
Well, I think one thing you say to her that is important and like that I would probably go to as well would be that if you do this, it's not. it's not a shortcut to what you want. It's
No.
going to prevent you from having what you want, maybe ever. Because one thing I was not able to find was if she married the guy. I was really curious if he waited around for her, if he was like, not flummoxed by the whole arson incident, if he was like, no, no, I'm still here. I'm gonna put your next cut glass dish on layaway, and it'll be here for you when you come out. Like, I don't know if he was understanding about the whole situation, but I do think she did it because she wanted to be with him. And when I look at these old mugshots, I like sometimes like I have a lot of compassion for the people. Like she was so stupid about so many things that she did and her story was absurd, but I do have like a little bit of compassion for her because I'm like, you know, she has this life she doesn't really want in San Francisco and her sons are grown, she doesn't have anybody there. She's just kind of like got these tenants. She wants to maybe not work at the telephone exchange company anymore.
Mhm.
And she sees this life so vividly that she would love to have. And she can't have it yet, but maybe she could just accelerate it. I think it's just very short-term thinking. Like if she would have thought like, okay, what happens after you burn the house down? If she could have thought like one more step ahead, she would have been all right.
She
But I
was
have,
desperate.
yeah,
She was desperate. Why change my behavior? I'm desperate. I want out, burn it down.
and it worked before.
And it
So
worked.
yeah. But all right, here's my big question for you. So now she's out of prison, and let's see the exact date she came out. So she was released it must have been leap year. So she was released on February 29th, 1928.
Mhm.
And then this is just when her parole was done, but like she was out of prison then. What would you advise her to do? Because this is hard, right? She's come out, she's got a record now. Her case has been in the papers. People know who she is. This is a hard one because how does she like just we'll assume she's sorry for it and that she won't do it again. I mean, that's a big assumption, but we're going to assume it. Like, how does she put her life back together?
You know, I would actually ask her that question. Okay, so all of this has happened. How are you putting your life back together? Just to hear, to see, to say, how is she thinking? What is she thinking about? Does it even make any sense? The problem with all of this is there's a really big problem. She's gotten away with too much for too long, and even though she went to jail, she didn't serve that much time. She's back out. She's back out, and guess what? We don't know if that fiance waited for her, right? And so, what is stopping her from doing this again? I would ask her, so what was jail like for you? What was that prison time like? How did that make you feel? How did it feel being restricted? How did it feel not having your possessions around you? First, they all burn down. You lose them that way, and now you lose your freedom. Kind of helping her to recognize what was absolutely bitter and distasteful in hopes that she would never want to end up in prison again. But really just highlighting has your experience been over this time. Situations like this, they can be really difficult if there was no big deal in going to prison. That's why it's so important to hear from someone like her. What was her experience like? Because if that experience was no big deal, chances are she will repeat the behavior again.
Yeah,
Because
I
the
could see
consequences are
that.
just not big enough for her. I mean, think about it. Every time she burnt down her home, she lost everything. This is now a new behavior that she's getting used to. So I burned down my home once, lost everything, got over it twice, lost everything, got over it three times. What's the difference between burning down your home and going to prison? What's the same as loss? So if she's conditioned to accept loss as no big deal and then start all over again, that's a bigger problem for her.
So you think the biggest problem for her would not be like, how do I get my life back together, but it would be convincing her not to do it again.
Not to do it again. I think that she's used to getting her life back together again. I think it's conditioned. I mean, that's the worst thing. If you know you or I experience something like that, it would be catastrophic for
Yeah.
us. But for her, no, she's gotten used to it. She's gotten used to it. So the the big deal is how to make sure that you don't do this again because you're just too used to building again. That's
Yeah, I think you're right
crazy.
about her. But I look at her and I'm like, I would hate to be infamous. I'd hate to be infamous where it's like, oh, I'm trying to buy an apartment building, say. And people are like, wait a minute, I've heard of you.
I
You
heard
burn
about
down your
you.
apartment buildings. I guess like for me, I would be looking at her thinking about like, what could you build on? Like what have you done well in the past that you could build on, that you could be known
Setting
for?
fires. I've done that really well. I mean, someone
I'm
like
also an
her,
expert with hair.
someone like her, you immediately think, have you ever thought about working for the fire department in a positive way? I mean, immediately. While you have compassion for her, I have no compassion for her. This mugshot alone, I mean, if I was the person looking at her record, then glanced over and saw the mugshot, and put two and two together and put some thought to it, yeah, our whole conversation is I'm concerned you're going to do this again. Okay, let's talk about your jail experience. But we all know what you qualify for. Yeah, you should be like a firefighter. Clearly, let's
Or like
turn
an
this
arson
whole thing around.
investigator. Like she would know how to do it and she would know the
Oh
steps that
my
they would have to
gosh,
take.
she would be an amazing investigator. Amazing. How did this fire really start? I bet you that she can actually write a book on it. She
She
probably can
probably
retrace the
could.
steps.
Oh
Because
my
think
gosh,
about
that's
it.
a really good idea. She could
What
do
is she going
that.
to say? Think about it. What is she going to say? Well, thank you for the question. Based off of my experience, because she's got tons of experience starting fires.
She could probably use some help on the interrogation chapter, right? Like how to not crack immediately or like how to not give yourself away so blatantly. But yeah, she might have a little bit of trouble there. I still think your tips are really good for her. That would be the main concern that she would just turn around and go do it again.
Oh yeah,
Um,
this is her next fire marshal for sure. This is her next fire marshal right here. Let's give it up for the lady that can investigate fires like no other.
Katie, thank you so much for being on Mugshot March. I want to ask you, is there anything that you would like to leave people with?
Oh, sure. Thank you. Since you've given me the green light to do so, the number one thing I want to share is one, don't do it. If you're having a bad day or a bad moment, just pause, stop. Be careful. Think about the consequences of your actions. That's number one. Number two, if you want to start a brand new life, guess what? There's tons, tons of different books you can read, people you can talk to, and things that you can do that do not include starting a fire and ending up in jail. And last but not least, instead of going to a negative space, why not come to a sweet space? What can you do to bring more positivity into your life?
Or what could you eat to
Or
bring
what
more
could you
sweetness into
eat
your life?
to bring more sweetness into your life? That is so kind. So, if you're interested in any of the things that I recommended, definitely Google it, talk to someone. But if you're interested in something sweet and you're in the California area, you can find all of my dessert treats at love, the number four, sugar.com, or you can find me at sweetartisancreations.com.
And we will put the
All right.
links in the show notes so that they're there
Yeah.
and everybody can go and enjoy them. I can speak from experience. KT's baking is extraordinary. There's nothing like it.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. That I'm expressing gratitude for this opportunity. And I'm so sorry that I didn't meet Bertha because I sure would have talked her into a cookie or a cake to rethink what she was about to do.
Just don't hire her to work in your bakery, like with all those ovens.
Yeah, actually, she might be excellent working the ovens, the hotter side of things.
I don't think I'd take a
Gordy.
chance on her.
Oh, sorry, Bertha.
No, I think you gave her good advice. If you had been the person who had gotten in touch with her before, I think you could have talked her out of it. Although I would not, I mean, if I were gonna bet, what are the chances she did that again? I would put it at least 40%.
Let me think. Okay, if I was a betting person, and I am, I would say, based off of her history alone, I'm going to go way higher. I'm going to say there's a 60% chance that she
60?
absolutely would do it again. 60.
Whoa, that's a high risk parolee we've got here.
Yeah, I think she absolutely would do it again. Because guess what? It's what she does best. Oh, didn't mean it to come like that. Sorry, Bertha.
No. Thank you, Katie. Thank you so much for being on. Have a great day, and I will talk with you soon.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Have a good day.
See you later.